Thanks for keeping the lock. It's the Man Up Sports Show, and we are talking Mike Vick for MVP. This is part two-part segment of this show. We're going to knock it down. Former shooting guard for the Toledo Rockets, Dave Jones, with us. Big Dave, appreciate you for hanging in there with us. The second part of the show. So back to the Mike Vick topic. We discussed him being drafted, playing for the Falcons, the meteoric rise, and then the fall for the dog fighting scandal and how all of that came about. Interesting enough to me that after this was all over, the people who embraced Mike Vick, Tony Dungy, one of the first people to kind of sign on or be assigned as his mentor for his comeback. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't think it would work. How did you feel when you found out that Tony Dungy was going to be involved? I was pretty skeptical, not because of Tony Dungy or Mike Vick. It's just that, I mean, dude had been in prison for almost 2 years, man. You don't. NFL quarterbacks are not able to stay away from the game for 2 years and come back. Most NFL players, period, any skill position, you're just not able to miss that type of time and come back. And then as far as the relationship between Vick and Dungy, you had two people who I didn't think really ever knew each other or had any type of chemistry with each other. And I just didn't know that Mike Vick was really going to be hearing that, man.
Well, you know what, Dre? The thing was, I think Tony Dungy was an excellent pick because, you know, a lot of people don't know Tony Dungy, before he became the Colts and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach, he was a coordinator in Pittsburgh and very, very well respected. Honestly, a lot of the black community in Pittsburgh was pushing for him to be the next head coach. Now, I can't complain. We couldn't go wrong with Bill Cowher. You know, he did a great job. But, you know, before all that came out, you know, we wanted Tony Dungy to be the head coach because of the way he handled players. He was awesome at handling any troubled players. He doesn't holler. He doesn't yell. He has a very laid-back, you know, demeanor, but he's stern and he gets his point across. And that's what Michael Vick – I don't think Michael Vick would have responded well to somebody hollering down his throat once he was in jail, i.e. a Mike Ditka type, you know, another Pittsburgh character. I don't think he would have responded well to that.
So Tony Dungy has had this type – now that's something I didn't know. Tony Dungy has had this type of experience dealing with players before. He's done it in the Burgh. What was he, defensive coordinator?
Yeah. Well, actually, he was defensive coordinator, and Marvin Lewis was the defensive backs coach.
Oh, y'all were loaded.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are the years with Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd,
Rod Woodson.
Kirkland, Rod Woodson, Carnell Lake. That was Tony Dungy right there.
Wow. I didn't realize that. So maybe I shouldn't have been skeptical. I should have knew that was going to work then. So I got to give him credit, man. I mean, Tony Dungy has done an amazing job in a background kind of out of the spotlight kind of way.
Exactly.
I think between Tony Dungy and actually Donovan McNabb really embraced him, it seems like. And I think that's really what he needed coming out of prison, is for somebody to, number one, Philadelphia Eagles gave him a chance. And then, number two, to be embraced by people. And I think, you know, it had to be comforting that I want to say this. Is Donovan McNabb not just poster boy for professionalism? I mean,
well, no, he's not. But, you know, you just brought up a good point. I'm kind of torn with Donovan McNabb. I think what he did for Michael Vick was great, but as you know, I'm still struggling with Donovan McNabb from back when Terrell Owens was there. From the Terrell Owens situation and how he was handled in Philadelphia, I think he's a very classy guy, but I think he doesn't speak his mind when need be, so to speak.
I think that's the knock on him. I will absolutely agree with that. he can get almost too robotic, or if there's a such thing as too professional. I had this conversation with somebody, and after he got benched, and actually it was Big West, and Big West was like, man, I can't stand McNabb. I think he's soft. And I said, well, I don't think he's soft. I just think you never really know how he feels because he's never going to say it. He's going to give you the prototypical, just the complete journalist non-answer.
But you know what? As an athlete, there comes a time, and Kendall can speak for this as well. There comes a time when you have to speak up for yourself. Now, I'm not saying you become a Terrell Owens type, but at the end of the day, if you're the leader of the team, you have to speak up. We'll go back to the McNabb-Owens situation. There should have been time, and it didn't have to be in public. He should have walked up to him and said, listen, if you have a problem with me, let's handle this like men. Not so-called bickering through the media and stuff like that, or just plain keeping your mouth shut. And I understand a lot of times silence can be the best answer sometimes to characters. But in that situation, there was guys on the team losing respect for him.
Let me touch on that. A funny thing that I think about that Philadelphia Eagles situation with Terrell Owens and Don McNabb, was it Hugh Douglas or Jeremiah Trotter that supposedly or allegedly T.O. body slammed in the locker room?
I think it was Hugh Douglas.
Hugh Douglas? Yeah. And you think McNabb was scared after that? I mean, it wasn't a little dude. Dre, he slammed a linebacker.
Dre, and I'm going to say this. The thing about men that's taught, and it's not even taught, it's learned on the streets a lot of times, you can't be afraid to take a butt whooping if it's going to get your point across.
What if you're in front of the street?
No, I don't care if you're the baddest man on the planet. You can be beat. And now, am I saying that you're going to be the baddest guy in the locker room and you're going to knock everybody out? No. But if you have to take a butt whooping to get your point across, and if you get beat down and you get up and say, you know what, we're going to do this again tomorrow, and we're going to do it again the next day, and we're going to do it the day after that. But what's going to end up happening is the guy's going to be like, man, he's crazy, man. I ain't messing with him.
You know what, though, D? That's one thing, though, that I think that we learn growing up the way we grew up, but I don't know that McNabb got that in the household where he grew up. I mean, I know they say, he's from Chicago, but I don't know.
Outside of Chicago, Dre, I'd have to struggle that you can't tell me at some point in time he was threatened and he had to stand up for himself. That's a life lesson right there. You have to stand up for yourself. And even the Redskins situation. Again, when I listened to that interview and they just blasting, talking about, oh, he was tired the last 2 minutes. You know what? I'm not saying be rebellious, but I would have went up there in the podium and said, I was not tired. I do not agree with what happened. We will talk about this behind closed doors. But just for the record, I was not tired. I want to get my point across. Now, will that cause some speculation and some turmoil? Sure. But you're not going to throw me under the bus saying, oh, I'm out of shape. You roll with me the whole game, and you're going to say in the last 2 minutes, oh, I'm out of shape, please.
In a winnable game.
Exactly.
In a winnable game.
But no, take it a step further. For Rex Grossman?
That is a slap in the face to any good quarterback.
Exactly.
Rex Grossman, I have a hard time imagining why he is not selling insurance. I do. If Rex Grossman can play quarterback in the NFL, I at least feel like I can play D1. He is awful.
But the sad part is, Dre, he has proven he messes up. In Chicago, they gave him chance after chance after chance. And he was blowing it. Okay, then they bring Kyle Orton in, who, by the way, is lighting up the league this year. And then they would go back to Rex Grossman, and he would... I mean, that defense, all they asked, that defense was so good. They'd be like, if you can give us 14 points, we'll win the game.
You know what? I wonder if Vince Young is salty as he watches all of these quarterbacks throw interception after interception, and then he goes out on the field, and any little mistake he makes, he knows he's getting yanked.
Well, there's a difference between with Rex Grossman and Vince Young. The thing, a lot of times, I wish I could take Donovan McNabb's demeanor sometimes and give it to Vince Young from a professional standpoint, because, my gosh, Vince Young can't take rejection. As soon as they start booing, he's almost to the point of tears. He's out driving around in the neighborhood doing 90 miles an hour. Can't nobody contact him. He's crazy.
So, I mean, come on. I mean, but they cut him some slack. I guess this is my thing with Vince Young. My love affair with Vince Young ends and begins here. In the fourth quarter of a game, of a winnable game, Vince Young is probably one of 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that I have an extreme amount of faith in, that if he has the ball, I think we can win.
You know, and I'm not doubting anything you're saying, but the thing is, Dre, it's not how you do when things are going well. It's how you get up from adversity. And that's what everybody's scared of with Vince Young. He can't handle adversity at all. My gosh, if some folks are booing you, you breaking down, are you kidding me? Where are you going to work at?
It sounds like you're really mad at Vince Young because he cried. Are you mad because he cried, D?
I'm not
Kobe
mad
cried.
at the fact that he cried. I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
T.O. cried. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Look at it like this, man. Look at it like this.
I love him.
Think of how professional did it look for you to get benched and you throw half of your uniform in a stand.
He threw his shoulder pads in the stands.
Okay. you know, I could take it dramatic if I wanted to, but I'm just saying.
He threw his shoulder pads and his jersey.
But listen to what you're saying. He threw his shoulder pads. How are you throwing your shoulder pads in the stand? Is this midget league or is this the NFL? Come on, man. This is not Pop Warner, man. I mean, you're like an 8-year-old having a tantrum because you've been benched. I mean, okay, you're actually playing past this year because it's contract time. Now, if I'm a general manager or owner, do I really want to put up with that? And I'm going to give you a good example. The Steelers run a tight ship. You never see anybody of troublesome playing for the Steelers. Or if they do get in trouble, you can best believe at the end of the year, the U-Haul's waiting on them.
A.K.A. Santonio Holmes.
Thank you. Now, is everybody in Pittsburgh still a little pissed over Ben Roethlisberger getting the star treatment? There's a reason why he got the star treatment, because he got that $40 million contract inked, and they don't want to give up that guaranteed money and let him go. I really think if it wasn't for that, he would have been on the bus too.
I don't disagree with that. So we're going to pause right here, D. We're going to bring it back. We're going to take a quick break and come back and break down, is Michael Vick really the MVP? We'll answer the question as soon as we get back.